everyone, welcome back to the channel and welcome for this exciting video. I've been thinking of doing this video for a long time. You know how I've been coming to the States a couple of times, just experienced a lot, and I keep getting surprised about a lot of things. The list is long, to be honest, so there's only going to be a couple of them in this video, but I think if I don't do it now, like do a part one now, then it's just gonna be too many of them. So let's get into it. I think the main thing that always surprises me, it's about food. And there's a lot of things that surprise me about food in the States. So the main one, but I think everybody knows about it, is the difference in food and the difference in ingredients and how it tastes different and how addicting it is. I mean, you know my love for Dunkin' Donuts and how bad it is. Dunkin' is coming to France, people. They're coming in a month, which is terrible, obviously. But they're coming to France, and I'm so excited for that. In Paris for now, so I actually want to be able to eat them. But so how the food is different, and how especially when you eat certain food, it can be so different. The other day, I was in Chicago. You're gonna see the videos later on, but I was in Chicago and I was eating a Dunkin' Donut at 12, so lunch, midday, and I realized halfway eating the donut that I was like, I'm eating a donut at lunch, like for lunch. And I was like, that's so weird. Like, what's going on? I was like looking around, and there are just so many people in the Dunkin' Donut doing the same thing. And even in the streets and all that, you know, like you can see people eating random food at random times. And it's totally normal because everybody has a different schedule, right? Well, in France, that would not be the case. In France, if someone would see you eating a donut at lunch, they would be like, are you okay? Did you eat today? Like, did you actually eat something, like your real food at lunch or not? But that's something, yeah, I'm always surprised when I see people in the streets eating randomly like a hot dog at 10 in the morning. And like, yeah, it's the States, but it's so great, you know. I love it. It's fascinating, honestly, and it's just, I like this freedom a lot. Health-wise, I'm not really sure if it's a good or a bad thing, but you know, I've actually taken this habit of eating when I'm hungry and not waiting for lunch or whatever, lunchtime, because it's very like, you know, breakfast at 8 or 7, whatever, lunch at 12, snack at 4, dinner at 7 and 8 or 8 in France. And it's good to have a routine or something like that. But, you know, the way I work and just the way I live, it's very spontaneous, and I feel like it's a lot better to actually follow and listen to your body and eat whenever you want, so you meet your needs a lot better, you know. So I like this part in the, you know, from in the United States. I like that, so I'm taking that, but it's the sugary stuff, like probably not a good idea to eat a donut at lunch. But anyway, something else that really surprises me and that I cannot understand is, and we were talking about it with my roommate again, just last night, is every places almost close at 5 p.m. And I don't get it for a lot of reasons. First of all, it's way too early in the day. Usually people eat lunch so late, and then they only have an hour or two to, you know, go to a museum or something. When the museum, you need to spend 4 or 5 hours in it. And then how about people who work until 5 p.m.? They only have the weekend. I mean, it's such a short amount of time. And then I think it's a good thing for people working in those museums or places that close at 5, because they get their evenings. But it's so, you know, in France, it really surprises me, because in France, you know, those museums and such, they're open until 7, 8, maybe some places 6:30, but it's still much longer than 5. I'm not criticizing, but it's just, you know, when you plan things out, 5 p.m. is pretty early in the day for places to close, and that kind of cut your planning and kind of mess with it. And yeah, I just, you know, especially for people having a 9 to 5 work, like, when do you enjoy it? Like, you can do everything on a weekend, you know, like it's only 2 days. That is what it is. It's just that really surprises me each time I see that. Especially, yeah, when I was in Chicago, I was like, you know, I wanted to do the aquarium, the museum and all that, and everything was closing at 5. And I was like, wow, I really have to, eat on the go to get as much time as I need in those places. But something that surprises me, and I think it shouldn't, but it does in a really positive way, is seeing all of those beautiful, gorgeous classic cars not everywhere, because it's still kind of rare, but they're in such a good shape. We saw a Pontiac, no idea how you pronounce it, but the American accent, when we were in South Carolina with boyfriend, and it was in such a great shape and so clean, so beautiful, so well taken care of. And we got lucky and had got to hear it. We were getting into a restaurant, and the couple was getting out and all that, so they left with their beautiful car so we could hear it, the sound of it. It was beautiful. It was such a nice sound. And then I think a couple of days later we saw Elvis' car. What is it? Pink, beautiful, well taken care of, the inside beautiful, gorgeous. And I see a lot of them on the roads when we drive, parked somewhere. It's usually very random parking lots, random places. But what I really like and what really surprises me is how well taken care of those classic cars are. It just feels so good to see that. And I'm so used to see old cars being abandoned in yards, people's yards, or on the side of the road, and it's very sad. But in the States, I've been seeing so many of them, like having a second life or something, and I just love seeing that. The prices of flights inside the United States, it's crazy, and I really don't understand why it's so expensive. Some flights are more expensive, from, I don't know, I'm gonna say something like random, but like from New York to Chicago, it's more expensive than going to from New York to Peru or something. And I'm like, it's the same country. And I do understand the country is big and vast, so some flights are long, so they're going to be more expensive. What I don't understand, and what I think it's a shame, I just feel like those airlines could at least have better prices for their own people who would like to travel in their own country. Like, you're not going to the Bahamas, it's not that far, but still, you just want to go to from one city to another city, and you gotta pay $500. I don't think that's fair for the people living in the States. Especially whenever you have a checked bag, it's like, wow, $200 more. I never understand that. But Southwest, I think, is pretty good. I did take American Airlines to go from North Myrtle Beach to Chicago, I believe, and that was quite interesting. The price was not too much. I enjoyed it, appreciated it. But yeah, this is something all the time I'm like, like, how do people travel when it's so expensive? And I think it's really not fair for just the Americans in general. Well, the way to eat is definitely also a bit different. I got so many critics comments whenever I eat a pizza with a knife and a fork. Well, people, go to Chicago and eat a deep dish pizza. We're gonna see if you're gonna eat it with your hands. You're gonna need a knife and a fork, and you won't be able to say anything about it. And I was so happy because finally nobody was looking at me weirdly for eating a pizza with a knife and a fork. But yeah, it's those kind of differences. I think something that really came a lot on my channel, and I think it's a cultural difference. It's smelling my food. I smell my food almost all the time before eating like a bite or something. To me, this is part of the moment. I'm just savoring even more my food when I smell it. And a lot of French people do it, and in the States, if I understood well with your very negative comments whenever I do that, and I don't think you see me doing that anymore on YouTube. I always get that part because I got enough negative comments about it. I think it's a rude thing to do in the States, and I respect that, but yeah, that definitely surprised me the first time I read comments. I was like, oh, well, I'm just doubling my pleasure when I eat, when I smell it, but smell my food, but I guess it can be rude at some other places, which is interesting. Yet again, it's interesting to hear about those differences. Something that scares me more for people, the red lights. Two things about the red lights. The actual red lights on the roads for cars, people are so impatient. Like everybody honks when it's still red, and people are so impatient. And I'm always like, when I'm the one waiting to cross, like a pedestrian walk, whatever it is, I call it, I'm not sure, a crosswalk, Mary. And I see cars waiting and it's still red for them, and people are honking, and you're like, dude, like it's red, like you can't go faster than that. Like everywhere, every city, not even a city, like just every little towns I've been to, I'm always witnessing that, and I'm like, what is wrong with people? Like, it's red. What do you want to do about it? And the other red light problem, I think, it is a problem, definitely, but that surprised me a lot, still surprises me a lot, is, I'm talking so fast. Sorry. You have a crosswalk, you usually have like lights for pedestrians, and I see so many people crossing it when it's red. I am definitely guilty of that because I do it, but the difference is I do it and I look if there's actually nobody coming. But so many people, they're just on their phone or talking or whatever, and then they cross the road and it's red for them and it's green for cars, and there are cars, good gracious, thank goodness, they're stopping and letting them pass and not running over them. But I'm like, did we never teach you to look right and left, or left and right? Left and right, left first and then right, yeah, before crossing? Like, don't you even see that it's red? Like, can you pay attention and not try to get killed? It happened a lot in Chicago, and sometimes it was mom with their kids in their little stroller or however you call it, and they were not even looking, and I was like, whoa, like, can you pay attention? And fortunately, people driving pay attention. So far I haven't seen any accident, but they honk, they're like, what are you doing? It's red for you. And sometimes it's the road that, people come pretty fast, and what if they don't have the time to stop? I don't know, but I've seen so many people just cross and not look, and actually look for them, and about to yell if I need to stop them. But I see that all the time, and I really don't get why people put themselves in such a danger. Maybe they have societal thoughts, I don't know, but I don't know. Okay, something that really, really surprises me all the time, and I got angry and upset and completely just perplexed when I was in Florida, especially or in Louisiana, and it's about caps. People don't wear any caps. A lot of people wear sunglasses, but when it's really hot and sunny, almost nobody wear any caps. And if you are okay with that and you have sunscreen and all, it's fine. But so many of them are actually red, and you can see that they're suffering. But I think the worst that I've seen in Louisiana and Florida and those really hot states, and that really upsetted me, are the kids. You get the parents. Some parents have the caps and they don't even put caps on their kids' head. And I'm like, what is wrong with you? Like, do you know how much damage this thing can do? And at the beach, especially in South Carolina and all that, and you see all of those kids and they don't have any caps and they're all red, and it does a lot of damage. Like, you gotta be super careful with the sun. It's okay to be like 20 minutes with nothing to get your vitamin D or C or whatever, but so many people get cancers, and I don't understand the parents that don't put caps on their kids' heads. Even if you put sunscreen on their faces, it's only a little barrier. Maybe it's ignorance, I don't know, but I've just read about it a lot, and I have sunscreen right now on because I went out for a walk 10 minutes ago, and still had my cap on because you can feel it, and maybe it's because I have a fair skin, whatever. I've seen kids whiter than me not having any caps, burning, and you're like, parents, what is wrong with you? Like, I don't know, but when you see all the damage the sun can do, I don't understand that. But yeah, it's something that really surprises me a lot. And it's not just the United States. I've been seeing it in France too, especially parents having caps, but kids, they don't have them. I don't know what is it. I don't know if it's just parents not being able to being autoritaire enough with their kids, so they just give up on making them wear caps, or if they just don't care. I don't know. It's sad. It's really sad. But so I have a list in front of me because there's just so many things, and I'm just choosing which one I'm going to talk about because, like I said, there's so many. I was talking to my roommate 2 days ago about Spanish, and I added it on my list. I was surprised, although I totally understand now, and it just makes so much sense. But I was so surprised to see almost everything in stores being written in Spanish, like below English, or in Spanish in little, or like everything is translated in almost everything is translated in Spanish in the States. And I love it. And it's understandable because there's so many people speaking Spanish in the States. Not last time I was in the States, but the time before, the trip before that, in November, with boyfriend, we were at a store where you get like wood stuff and a screw and stuff like that, and everything was so well written in English, Spanish, and so it was very easy if you couldn't understand English to find what you were looking for if you were to speak Spanish. And I speak both. I was like, this is so cool. And then I noticed, on like food packaging and all that, everything almost is written in Spanish. And Spanish, I think you say, not Spanish. And that surprised me when it shouldn't have, because it's obvious, but it definitely was like, oh, that's so cool. And more I do see a lot of French also on packaging, but that's probably because it's from, it's products that must be sold, qui doivent être vendus, must be sold in Canada and the United States. So that's probably why it's in both languages. Something that, how many people eat out, but the same in France, I wrote. Yeah, I'm just, so many people in France and in the States too, they complain about how life is getting more and more expensive. I'm the first one to complain about it, to be honest. But I don't eat out because it's expensive. But I'm always so amazed at, to see so many people eating out when I'm in the States. Usually when I'm in the States, I eat out. I try restaurants, locals and all that, local restaurants, such. I do think I eat out too much. I wish I would, be able to cook more. But I'm just always surprised to see, restaurants, they're always so full. Like most of the time you gotta wait only 10-15 minutes, but still, it means, it's completely full. And I'm like, where do people get all of this money? Like, how come they can eat out all the time? I don't know, but that's something that really surprised me a lot every time. I'm like, why so many people? So yeah, the no more manual, especially if you want a red one. You know how much I love Mustangs, and I think I complain enough about the automatic cars. I hate them. I don't understand the point. I need a manual. I need to control my car. I need to have an experience with it. I've been thinking about it a lot, so I think now I understand it better in a way that for some people, the car is just a tool, T-O-O-L. I don't know why. A toll is something to pay, and a tool is a tool, I think. Yeah. They don't want to have something too complicated. So an automatic, they get from point A to point B the easiest way possible. I understand that. But I think I'm part of those people who see cars more than just a machine and a real experience, and we need to have a shift, a stick to control it and to have fun and to have a pleasure from the experience and all that. And I just think I'm surprised, and I think it's a shame that you can't find them anymore, especially when I want to rent one or a Mustang, especially a Mustang. Like, I've never found a place that can where I can rent a Mustang with a stick, like a manual one. It's always automatic, and that really surprises me. I don't understand why. I guess people have been driving automatics in the States for so long that it's just not a thing anymore. And when I got my driving license, I got it on a manual. Everybody that I know is driving a manual in France. automatic cars are getting more and more popular for sure, but I can still, see, and especially here, people shifting and all that, and yeah, they're everywhere. So I think, we're an old continent, and also I think we're a little late in the automatic shifting, even though a lot more people like it, appreciate it. But yeah, to each his own, I guess. But I think it's a shame for people like me who want to have like a nice, experience, and they can't even rent a manual one, but it is what it is. So I was in Chicago last time I was in the States. That was my last stop, and I was in the street where Route 66 started. And that was very cool and neat to see that, because if you remember my Arizona videos, I was on them, and then I was on the Route 66 in Missouri, Illinois, and something that surprised me, and if you ask any French people, they're gonna tell you, what, is how long the route, it's a French word, Route 66 is. I think if you ask any French people, they're gonna tell you, well, yeah, it's just a road. It's just one road. The actual Route 66 in the States is freaking long, and I had no idea, and I kept getting, surprised about it. I'm like, oh yeah, that's right. It goes from, through so many states. When I was in Chicago, I saw that sign, and I was like, what? I was like, whoa, that was in Arizona, that was in Illinois, Missouri, and now I'm in Chicago, and there's the road again. And I was like, well, yeah, I think I saw, and I can probably find it again on Google, a picture of the road, on the United States, on the map, and it's pretty big. I know most of the original road is not actually driven on anymore. I drove on roads, and whoever I was with was telling me, well, actually this is not the actual road, the one is just over there, but nobody drives in it anymore, or whatever, or it's just now a back road. And I think someone asked me in some of my videos, like, would you like to do a road trip with a Mustang from the beginning of Route 66 to the end? And hell yeah, I would love to do that. I mean, that must be something really cool. I know a lot of people do that with their bikes, and I would love to do it with a bike for sure. But I think with the Mustang first, that would be better. Anyway, I've been talking for half an hour, and I'm really sorry about that, but the list was so long. Each time I come back to States, I'm always, which is great, I mean, it's always fascinating to be surprised at things, and sometimes it's so random, it's like, sometimes it's stuff that I could have realized or noticed before, but that I didn't, and I'm like, oh, well, that's fun. And I don't know, I think it's just really fascinating is a good word. It's really fascinating to realize, notice those differences and stuff that surprised me. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you're from the States or Canada, or just, another continent, and you've been to Europe and you've had your own surprises, I would love to read them in the comments. There's so many things we take for granted, or just that are so totally normal for us, but from someone coming from just another continent, it can be really weird, and I just love hearing about those. So please share them with us in the comments, and I will see you in a couple of days for probably the following of my last trip in the States, and I think that will be the third episode of my South Carolina segment. And I hope you enjoyed this video, because I had fun making it. Take care of yourself. Bye bye.